Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good weekend. Here we go with another week. I wanted to start out with a quick review. So last Wednesday, Thursday, we did solving with brackets. I'm going to do question number 11 from your worksheet, so you can just kind of check your work and follow along. And then I'll go over today's lesson, which is going to be solving and then checking with substitution. Okay, so question number 11 is negative 11 brackets y plus 3 equals 22. Okay, so keep in mind through all of this stuff that we're doing for solving equations, our goal is to find the number that y can be, that's why we get at the end y equals, y can be to make the left side equal to the right side of the equal sign, okay? And that way you have balanced the equation and made them equal. Okay, so we know first when we have brackets that we first want to multiply negative 11 in front of the brackets by both things inside the brackets. So negative 11 times y is going to be negative 11y. Negative 11 times 3 is going to be negative 33. So I'm going to write minus 33 here. Okay, even though there's a plus 3 here, you just have to figure out, okay, what's the sign, and then use that there, okay, as what goes in between. So negative 11 times 3 is negative 33, so I put negative 33 or minus 33 here. And 22, I haven't done anything with it, so I'll just carry it down to the next line. Okay, so now using reverse operations, the 33 is going to move over to the other side. Because it's minus 33 on this side, it's going to be plus 33 on that side. Okay, so my next line, the negative 11 is going to stay here, negative 11y. This is going to be 22, that's staying, and plus 33. Okay, so carrying on, I'll do the simple arithmetic here. So I have negative 11y equals 55. Okay, so here we've done our 3 steps. Recall that with solving with brackets, our first step is here basically, where we are distributing that number and getting rid of the brackets. Okay, distributing the number in front of the brackets and getting rid of the brackets. The second step is moving things around so that you have basically the variable on the one side and the plain numbers on the other side. Okay. And then so that's step number 2. And then step number 3 is going to be using reverse operations to solve for y. So because we know that here is negative 11 times y, that's multiplication, when the negative 11 moves over, it's going to be divided by negative 11. Okay? So I will have y equals 55 divided by negative 11. Okay, so my answer will be y equals negative 5. Okay, so I think I mentioned in one of the videos last week that you could actually take that negative 5, y equals negative 5, you could put it in here, and what you should get after you substitute it in and solve, you should have this side equaling 22 and this side equaling 22. And if that's what you get, both sides equal, then you know that whatever you found for y is going to be the right answer. Okay, so that's kind of what we're doing today. So let's start on that. Okay, so basically I'll just write a quick little note. When you solve an equation, you can use substitution to check your answer. Okay, and substitution is basically what we did at the very first lesson of this equations unit. Okay, so let's just use some examples to illustrate how this works. So question number 1, 2 brackets x minus 3 equals negative 6. Okay, so we follow our steps for solving an equation. So we're first going to figure out what x equals. So I'm going to get rid of my brackets by multiplying both things in the brackets by the 2 out front. So that gives me 2x. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So I write minus 6 equals negative 6. Okay, so now of course we want to, I could draw my line here. I will have my variable on this side, okay, and my numbers on that side. So this one's going to stay, this one's going to stay, but this is going to move over. Okay, so when minus 6, this is a number sign. When minus 6 move over to the other side, it becomes plus 6. So what my next line should look like is 2x equals negative 6 plus 6. So we have negative 6 and then you're adding 6, that's going to be 0. So 2x equals 0 and x, okay, so now we need to divide because this is multiplication. So now we're going to divide by 2. So 0 divided by 2 is just 0. Okay? 0 divided by anything is equal to 0. So now I have my answer, right? So I know that x equals 0. What I do to check is I take that 0 and I put it in for x. Okay, so I'll show you down below here checking. Maybe I'll do it in blue. So I write down my equation again. 2x minus 3 equals negative 6. My next line, I'm going to take what I found for x and I'm going to put it in for x. So 2 brackets 0 minus 3 equals negative 6. Okay, so that's what x equals and it goes in there. So now I need to work inside my brackets, right? Bedness, brackets is first. So inside my brackets, this 2 is going to stay. Okay, but inside my brackets I have 0 minus 3, so that just gives me negative 3. Okay, and this side, I'm not going to end up having to do anything to it. There's no math to do on that side. So now 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, and this side is equal to negative 6. So now I've proven that what I found for x being 0 is correct, because the left side equals the right side. Okay, so that's what it means to solve and then check your answer. First solve and figure out what the variable equals, then take that, substitute it in, and check your answer. Okay, I'll do a couple examples. Okay, if that made sense, maybe try for this one to pause it and try it on your own and then check your answer. So I have 5 brackets, n plus 2 equals positive 5. Okay, so we know our first step is to get rid of the brackets. So 5 times n is 5n. 5 times 2 is positive 10, so plus 10. Okay, and this side is 5, so I just carry that down. Okay, so my next step is using reverse operations to set up a variable side. Okay, variable side, number side. So the 10 is going to move over. If it's plus 10 on this side, it will be minus 10 on that side. So the 5n just comes down. And this 5 remains the same. It hasn't moved from one side of the equal sign. So, but the 10 has. So it came from here. It's minus 10. Okay, and then my next line is just simplifying that. So 5 minus 10 is negative 5. Okay, and my last step is to solve for n. So this is multiplication. It's going to be division. Okay, so negative 5 divided by 5, so n is going to be equal to negative 5 divided by 5, which is equal to negative 1. Okay, so I've solved it. I've gotten what n equals. Now I'm going to check that. Okay, so I write down, do it in blue, I'll write down my equation again. So I have 5, n plus 2 equals 5. So I take my -1 and it's going to go in for n. Okay, so keep everything else the same. So -1 plus 2 equals 5. Okay, so of course, I wrote on the last one too, but FEDMES, just to remind you, you can work inside the brackets. Okay, I do see sometimes students do this. They're like, okay, I need to multiply that, I need to multiply that. Now, you can do it that way, but you only need to do it that way when you have variables, because you can't add n and 2. So you can't work inside the brackets. But here, you can work inside the brackets because you can add and subtract just plain numbers, right? So we can simplify in the brackets instead of having to multiply by the 5 out front, okay? Because we will do that after we've simplified in the brackets. Okay, so 5, -1 plus 2 is equal to +1, and that's just 5. That just keeps kind of carrying down. 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 equals 5, so there, I know I'm correct. Okay, it's nice to be able to do this, because if you were doing a test or quiz, you could always check, say, I'm pretty sure it's -1, but if you went and actually checked it, then you would know without a doubt that you have the right answer. Okay, next question is a little bit more complicated. Okay, so yes, this looks a little different. We've been used to just having a number here, okay, not also a variable. But the steps are going to be very much the same, okay? We can't do anything until we've gotten rid of these brackets, so that's going to be our first step. So I'll just worry about this side, I'll talk about this side after. So I'm going to multiply everything inside the brackets by the number outside the brackets. So 5 times x is 5x. 5 times -3 is -15. That's that side. This side, I'm not going to do anything to it right now. So what I'll do is I'll just write down the numbers, the variables, just as they are. Okay? So that's always going to be my first step when I have a question that has brackets. My second step, and this has always been the second step, is to move things around so I have the variable. Anything with a variable is going to go on that side. Anything with just a plain number, okay, is going to go on that side. So now every time I move something from one side of the equal sign, so this is all the left and this is all the right. Anytime I move something from one side of the equal sign to the other side of the equal sign, I just have to make sure that I flip the sign, right? That I use reverse operations. So I know I need to move two things because the 5x is okay. It's on the right side, okay? Because it's a variable, it stays here. The -15, that's a plain number, so it is going to go, okay? 27, that's a plain number. It's on the plain number side, so it's going to stay. But -16x is a variable, so it's going to go over to the variable side. So you can tell that on my next line, two things are going to stay on the side of the equal sign that they're originally on, and two things are going to move. Okay, so what my next line should look like is 5x, that's staying. 16x is coming over, okay? Because it's minus 16x on the right-hand side, it's going to be plus 16x on the left-hand side. Okay, put your equal sign on. So that's one side done. Over to the plain numbers, 27 was staying, so I just write 27 as it is. Now 15, -15, is getting moved over, so if it's minus 15 on this side, it's going to be plus 15 on that side. Okay, this is the same step that we've been doing all along the way. The only extra thing we've done is we've moved one more thing, okay? So now I'm going to work on my left-hand side. I have 5x plus 16x. So how many x's do I have? I've got 21x, so I write that down. Okay, so that's my left-hand side, equals. My right-hand side, I'm going to add these two, and I should get 42. Okay, so 21x equals 42. Now you know where you're at, right? This is our last step. This is multiplication. 21 is going to come over, it's going to be division, so divide by 21. So my last step is going to be x equals 42 divided by 21. Okay, so 42 divided by 21 is 2. Okay, so that's my solution. Now we need to check that that's correct. So I'll do that in blue. I'm going to write my original equation down. So I have 5 bracket x minus 3 equals 27 minus 16x. Notice that there's 2 places where there's an x. So this 2 is going to be substituted in here, and it's also going to be substituted in here. Okay? When you're checking, you're not moving anything around from one side to the other. Okay? You're just going to work and solve what the left-hand side equals after you've substituted in the value of x. And then you're going to work and solve what the